Hello everyone, and welcome back once again. This is Coach Oliver. We are here to present the FIDE Grand Prix, the primer for the FIDE Grand Prix 2022, which is going to be held in Berlin, Germany, from February 5 until 17, on February 5 to 17. And our very own Wesley So will be playing against 15 other players to qualify for the candidates. And by the way, the winner of the candidates will also have a chance to play Magnus Carlsen in the next World Championship match. All right, we are going to cheer for our Filipino pride. Well, he's an American citizen right now, but by heart, I'm sure he is our Filipino pride, Wesley So. Will he break the Berlin Wall this time around? Are we going to see him play Magnus in the next World Championship? We will find out in the FIDE Grand Prix. Okay, there are 4 groups from Pool A to Pool D. Wesley is going to play in Pool D along with Dominguez, also from Cuba to America. He transferred to America, just Federation. And Alexis Shirok in the group. Who else is in the group for Wesley? Okay, it's 4 players per group. Nakamura will be playing in Pool A, I think, and some other players, Duda and the others. All right, without further ado, let's look at Wesley's game with the Berlin, because they are playing in Berlin, Germany. Will he break the Berlin Wall this time? Okay, this game against Vladimir Kramnik back in 2015, where he also broke the Berlin Wall of Vladimir. Okay, one of Kramnik's pet lines against Roy Lopez is Berlin defense. Yep, that's D4. Should be 5, knight f6, castles, knight takes e4, d4, knight e6, takes c6, takes c6, d takes e5, knight f5, takes. All right. As early as move number 8, they're going to the endgame. Yes. We have already exchanged queens on move number 8. Let's play the end game. H3. Okay, preparing G4. Knight goes back to E7. Knight into C3. Normal developing move. Bishop D7. Okay, the main problem for the Berlin is the castle king. But this strong pawn on c6 holds black's central b5 square. Knight g5, hitting f7. There's a double attack on king and the rookie. Kramnik played queen king e8, of course, protecting f7. Okay, an interesting sacrifice to break the wall by Wesley on e6. Bishop takes e6. Takes on e6, takes on e6, rook e1. White's activity is very obvious here compared to black. Uncoordinated turks and bishop at the moment, right? Here attacking e6. Black protects the e6 pawn. Wesley went for knight e4, threatening knight g5, king and pawn on e6. So Kramnik was forced to play h6 to take care of the g5 square. Rook d1, the open d file, not allowing rook to d8. Right, e5, rook to d7, rook on the 7th rank. Attacking c7, Kramnik protects, of course. Bishop d2, developing the bishop, threatening bishop c3, and also opening up the line for the rook with q1. Kramnik went for b6. Okay, taking away that square, restricting the knight. No knight here, no knight here. All right. The knight on e4 is restricted. Rook into e1. Okay, attacking that isolated pawn on e5 later in the game. King into e6. Rook retreats on d3, but the king is a bit dangerous on e6. Yes, it looks dangerous. c5, square for the knight. Go for knight e4 or protecting e5. Yes. F4, of course, yeah, breaking the pawn in front of the king. Knight into c6, rook g3. Restricting the bishop, because the bishop's protecting g7. So Wesley doesn't like that bishop to go e7 to f6. Yeah? Rook into e8, takes e5. g5 was played. Okay, for example, if black takes on e5, Wesley will go for bishop c3. Probably. This is a rook and bishop here attacking the knight. If the king moves back to d7, knight f2. If knight goes c6, takes, and bishop to d7. White has this pawn majority on their king side. 2-4-1. Yep. So Kramnik went for g5. h4, breaking the pawn. Because the bishop is trying to go for g7, hitting the e5 pawn. Break it to me gently. It's not possible for black to take this one because now white has rook g6, skewer on the knight. And if the king protects the knight, there is knight f6. Oops, it's double attack. Okay, so bishop g7, takes on g5, takes on e5, rook into f3, h takes g5, bishop takes g5. Right. Not so good looking king on e6. Here, Kramnik went for bishop d4 check. If, let's say, the king moves away from danger with king d7, it was possible. But Wesley will might play c3. Right? The bishop has no better square, but at least the king's safe. Kramnik probably was worried about this g pawn also, because this 4 pawns against 3, it's not what we call a majority, because the 2 pawns c4 and c3 and c7 and c5 are double pawns here. So bishop d4 check, knight into f2, discovered check to the king. King d5, active play for the king. Rook to d1, right, pin. Rook takes g8, bishop f4. Rook into e2. Wow, inviting Wesley. Right, an invitation for c3. Kramnik was like, okay, you get my bishop, I'll get your pawns. Okay, this is going to be a dynamic imbalance. Material imbalance, yeah, material imbalance here. c3 takes on b2, c takes d4. Right. Knight takes on d4, bishop on e3, rook takes a2. So these pawns are quite scary. By the way, white only has one lonely pawn, the one lonely g pawn. Who will win in the end? Is it 4-1? We'll see. Okay, rook f4, ganging up on d4. 3 pieces now attacking d4. Rook a4 protecting. Knight e4, threatening knight f6. Double attack on rook and king kong. King goes back to c6. Knight into c3, hitting the rook first. And also it's protecting e2, so there's no double attack on f4 and king. So rook a3 takes on d4, takes on d4, knight e2, right? d3, tricky move by Wesley, f3. Black cannot take the knight because there's an intermediate check to the king on c6, and the rook can take the rook on a3. Black will lose the rook. So rook a2, moving out of the pin, knight into f4. From, if you look at d4 here, after knight e2, 3 pieces attacking the pawn, right? With the pawn on d2, with the pawn on knight f4, here we have 3 pieces again attacking that pawn. Okay, the d2, king f2, bringing the king into the game. d5, wow, connected pass pawns, huh? Pass pawns. Rook c3, but Wesley is very calm. C3 check, king d7, knight d5. He relies on his activity. The rook, the 2 rooks and knight. Stopping the pawns, no b4, stopping that pass the pawns, hitting c7, g7 protecting the c7 pawn. Because if, let's say, you play c6 here, rook can take, by the way, takes and c6, and there's knight b4. And then rook to b2. All right, so rook g7 was played. Rook into b3. Again, stopping the advancement of the pawns. a6, knight b4, delaying the pawns. Huh? Okay, finally, the most advanced pawn is gone. Okay, no need to worry. Let's just worry about this 3. c5. Okay, d5. Look into d7, pin. Rook f3. Right, open file at the same time, safeguarding the king on f2. Rook b4, rook f6. Okay, finding lines for the rook. It's optimal square on the rook on f6. Okay, this line and this line. King into a7, staying out of checks. Rook b3, nice move by Wesley. Now threatening knight b4 to protect the rook on b3. c4 is played, another tricky move that's rook h3. It's not possible to take on b4, sorry, on b5 here is going to be a mate with the ladder checkmate, right? Ladder. King b8, the other rook moves up the ladder on the last rank. So we get back rank mate right here. If rook goes back or if this rook goes back, just capture and capture its mate on the back rank. Okay, so rook b4, knight b4, again, blocking pawns, stopping the advance of the pawns, hitting rook a6. Knight also is hitting that one. Rook b6, again, double up on the 6th rank. Forcing the rook to exchange. All right. One less rook, one less trouble. Rook b2 check, king f3. Move up, not back. Okay. Don't, in the endgame, don't put your king in the last rank. Huh? That would be scary. Okay, so after king f3, a5, pushing pawn. Okay, from 3 to 2. 2. 3 to 2, yes, little by little. King b6, rook a2, all right. Rook b7, rook a8. Tarash rule, yes. Tarash rule, rook behind the pass pawns, right? Rook behind the pass pawns. Okay, that's the Tarash rule. King c5, and knight into c2. Rook goes to 7, protecting the c file. Nice move by Wesley. Rook f. Avoid checks from this rook to the king. Rook f8, c3, rook f5 check first. Nice move. The king cannot step on c4 because now there is knight e3 check, right? If the king, let's say, protects this pawn on b5, there's knight e5 hitting the rook. Okay, and if the king goes to b3, there is rook takes b5. Okay, nice intermediate check by Wesley. His handling of this endgame is just so perfect. Okay? So perfect. Wesley so perfect. So king b6, g4, pass pawn must be pushed. While stopping the 2, he has his lonely pawn, the lonely ranger. King a5, g5. Oh, oops, 3 steps away. King helps. Threatening king b3. As I said, no problem. I have my king closer. Rook to d7. Cutting off. Okay. Cutting off the king on e3. Push the pawn. b4. Wow, closer also. It's getting closer. Rook f4, pin. Pinning. King b3. One more pawn down. Another pawn goes down the drain. One left. This one left. Rook goes to e7. No problem. Amazing move by Wesley. Okay, here Kramnik played rook d7. Let's take a look at rook takes e4. What can happen? Let's drink to that. Rook takes e4. Here's what happens. King takes on b4. Actually, 2 steps. 2 steps. King is close, but king b3. If you play king b3, push. If you play c2, promotes with a check. and white wins. Okay, that's the reason why Kramnik went for rook g7. Wesley, rook g4, protecting both. Oh, very good brother rook. Rook e7 check. King f3. Wesley could also play king d3. Rook e7 and then king e2. Right. If you play rook e7 back, king d1. But Mickey went for a more active square for the king. King rook g7, knight c6, nice one. Again, if the pawn pushes on c2, the knight e4 check. Let's say king to b2 takes, king takes, king 2, f4, right? The king is so far away from the pawn. Okay, so rook g8, last pawn must be pushed. c2, knight e4 check, hitting both the king and the pawn. King c4, knight takes c2. King wants to go to the pawn, right? d7, stop it. Restrict the king. King wants to go closer to the rook and then f6. Restrict the knight. And Wesley So has broken the Berlin Wall of Kramnik, right? And Wesley actually is in Berlin right now for the FIDE Grand Prix in 2022. And we are hoping and we are praying that Wesley will be able to break that wall once again and get a chance for candidates and keeping an eye on Magnus Carlsen in his World Championship match. All right, so let's give Wesley best of luck in his quest for the World Championship this time. And also good luck to all the other players. So FIDE Grand Prix 2022 coming up. And this is Coach Oliver signing off. Stay safe, everyone. See you in our next video.